Well, hello, welcome. My name's Greg. Working today on the. Well, hello, welcome. My name's Greg. Working today on the. Well, hello, welcome. My name's Greg. Working today on the. Oh. Let's try that again. Apparently, I'm recording the. Nope. Is that still feeding back? Alright, I think I've got it sorted now. Had some weird feedback going on there. Welcome, my name's Greg. We are working on the first responders kit today, not on trying to sort out my sound issues. I started a recording about a week ago, trying to add some parameters. Sorry, pull out the parameters in Blitz Who. You might remember if you saw that video, we had a few problems when we got to the end, where Blitz Who was erroring out and causing SQL to terminate the connection. So that's where we're up to. Let's switch over to the code and have a look at what is going on. So this is our code. Make it a little bit bigger. So as you can see, we are running our great store proc called badder, because it's obviously worse than the bad store proc. I was just selecting everything from users, cross-apply posts where user ID is less than some number. It's not meant to be good. It's meant to be long-running and slow and awful. That's what it is. So it's living up to all my expectations. Over here on the left, we are running Blitz Who. This has our changes from the other day, where we're trying to strip the XML out of the query, the live query plan, and it is failing miserably. You can see here that you cannot continue the execution because the session is in the kill state. A severe error occurred on the current command. The results, if any, should be discarded. Probably not a great thing to check in to Blitz Who. Coming back over here to Blitz Who, you can see this is the line that's causing the problem. We know it is because when we commented it out last time, everything worked fine. We can also see that when we hit up derp, which is the, I don't know what that's meant to stand for, but it's the execution plan that's in cache, as opposed to the live execution plan. When we have derp in there, everything runs fine, and we get the parameters that we're after. So today we are trying to solve why QS Live doesn't work. And I've stripped out the query a bit further. This one here. So this is just pulling out the query plan that we care about, I hope. And you can see here we've still got the same error. So he's trying to simplify it a bit, get rid of the dynamic SQL to try and work out what's going on. Now, I have done a bit of research over the last week, and the best answer I've found so far is that we end up with some sort of memory problem when we try to convert all these to NVARCHAR max. I don't understand why we get a memory problem, and I don't understand why it's only for the live query plan and not for the normal query plan. They're pretty much the same. So I don't know why, but what I thought I would start by trying is just limiting this to 4,000. See what that does. And I'm hoping, yes, hoping that it does this and gives me a result. It's not quite formatted right, but we can sort that out due course. So that's perfect. We are getting the right answer now or at least we're getting it to not crash now, so that's a good start. By limiting it to 4,000. Now my concern with 4,000, and I know this is a ridiculous thing to say, but some people will have parameters that are named as long as SQL allows them. Some people will be passing in nvarchar max. Some people will be doing all sorts of ridiculous things. Who knows? Somebody probably even has a custom data type that is bigger than 4,000 characters. So what I don't want to do is cause Lit2 to crash out because of some sort of truncation error. So I've got a couple of options here. I could go and find out what the longest name of a parameter is allowed to be, what the longest length of a parameter can be. I could go find out what happens to a query plan when you cache query plan that takes a parameter of nvarchar max. I could do both of those, or I could do what I'm going to do, which is just find out what happens when we truncate the data. What happens if we just say, you know what, 4,000 is a good number. If you got more than that, your column will look a bit weird. It probably won't show you what you want to see, but it won't crash and you'll still get the rest of your results out just fine. So that's what we want to do. So let's switch over and see what happens in that test. So back in our code again, so we had 4,000 and that's working and that's amazing. But what if we shrink that down, instead of 4,000, what if we shrink that all the way down to 2? And so what I want to see here is that let's fix this up as well so it matches the other one. What we want to see is that the data just truncates and doesn't throw an error. That's all I care about. Run this and I'm pretty sure it will work because of previous tests that I've done, and it does. You can see that everything's just shrunk down to 2 characters. Column disappears altogether. That's only a 1 character parameter, isn't it? Let's make that bigger. Let's stop this awful query. My long param name at my long param name. That into the database. Oop, gotta rename it there as well. Put that into the database. Done. And then make sure I spelled that right. Run that, and then we can run our test over here again. I still get nothing back. It's a little concerning. What if I bump that up a little bit? Okay, so it's definitely in there. It's just truncating it off somewhere weird. I'm not quite sure where. It's actually probably to do with the stuff command here that's causing the problem. We go back out to 4,000. It's still not looking quite right. All these back out to 4,000. This is characters here. It's something to do with the stuff statement. We'll sort that out when we put it into the actual query, which is what I think we will do now. So the test we want to do though was just make sure if somebody passes in something bigger than what we can fit in our fields here, that we don't get an error. It's just going to truncate. That's good. I'm happy. Let's put that into our stored proc. All right, so back here, QS Live, query plans. It's a bit hard to read here because we are inside dynamic SQL. But we basically want nvarchar 4,000 there, nvarchar 4,000 there, and nvarchar 4,000 there. Let's run that in. Run our Lit2 window again. Run this, and yes, no errors. And I have got the formatting right here. Woohoo! Give myself a round of applause, which. All right, so we've got that working. What you might notice though is that it's no different to what we would have got from the cache query plan. So if we go back here, oops, sorry, not that. If we jump back in here, we could run the exact same query. We could call this live ParameterInfo. And we could also create the same thing again. This one we will call cached parameter info. And so it should come from derp. I feel like Eric's been involved in that. Looking at derp. You see here the data is exactly the same, which isn't overly surprising. That's definitely what we've cached in there. But what we want to see, have a look at our live query plan, which those numbers look awful. What a ridiculous guess that SQL made there. If we have a look at the XML, right down the bottom here, we can see the parameter list, and we have the long parameter name, int, compiled value, and the runtime value, which we don't get. So we don't get the runtime value in the cache plan, obviously, because it's cached. It's not the live running one. It doesn't have a value. So we want to add that into Blit2. So that should be pretty simple now that we know what we're doing in here. We just need to keep it to nvarchar 4000. And I had a bit of a chat with Brent about how we should make this look. And so the format we're going for is we'll have the parameter name, squiggly brackets, the data type, colon, the value in brackets, and then the word actual, and then the value again in brackets. The value is already put in brackets for me, so that's helpful. So I just need to do, what do I say, space actual. We can do this in the Dynamics SQL. Plus space, open bracket, actual. Do we put a semicolon in there as well? Yes, we were. And then, what is that one? Plus. Oop, I don't want to copy that much. I'm going to copy that last bit there. Paste that in. Except this time set the parameter compiled value. Where's my window gone? There it is. Oh, the parameter runtime value. Copy that in here. And then we need to close off this bracket. And I think that's it. Should do the right thing as well. Put ends in front of all these just to make sure that SQL doesn't try to convert ASCII and non-ASCII strings. Trying to find them all now is tricky. I've already done this one. It's around there, and so that it's there. Perfect, I've already got that one. Well, it's just that last one that I've missed. And of course I've done that on derp, which doesn't have it, instead of on the live one, which does. So we'll swap those over too. Alright, run that in. Back to Blit2. Find out if our awful query is still running. Nope. Zones off. Nope, I don't want to save that. Awful query is still running. All right. I am very happy with that. Amazingly. Now, given that these two values should always be the same, the cache should always be in the live parameter info. I can't imagine why it would cache one thing and report a different parameter name, different data type, or different cache value. If it does, it should be a different plan in the cache. Obviously, the actual will change depending on what was passed in. So we probably don't need to keep this one here, but we'll need some sort of switch so we can go from the live one to the cache one and back again. So we'll need to work that out. But before we do that, I want to test one of my other really crappy store procedures here that has two parameters in it, just to make sure that that works as well. So I've got this lovely named bad1, and it takes an I and a j, and it uses them on two separate queries. So when we run bad1 over here in Blit2, just want to make sure that we get both parameters. And it looks like we don't. Why don't we get both? We get both in the cached, but not both in the live. So we'll need to have a look at why we don't get both in the live query. The two gone. So our bit in here, where we're pulling it from, looks the same. Why do we only get one here, but we get two here? Where do we go to have a look at that? Let's grab the live query plain XML. Oop. Again, live query plain XML. Let's copy that out. Now we've got a query in here which just has the XML, so we're just going to paste it in there. Switch these over to 4000s. It only finds I. So we have a look at here. There's I. Oh, now this is interesting. So maybe we haven't got to J yet. Maybe the live query plan hasn't compiled that far forward. It knows it needs an I, but it doesn't know it needs a J yet. Now that it's finished, it's going to be too late for me to find out. Let's see if I run this again. Yeah, there's just nothing running now, so let's... We'll try and make the first one fast. We'll pass in 1 for that, and make the second one a bit slower. That'll try, and then blit 2. Look at this query plan. Now querying the post. Oh, actually, that is interesting as well. See how in this query plan, we only get the currently running query. We know the first one must have run, otherwise we wouldn't have got a result there. But when we look at the query plan here, we can see it's got 2 parts happening. The live query plan only shows the bit that's currently running. All right, so in that case, maybe we do want to keep both of them. But what would be even cooler is if there was a way we could combine them. We knew what the actual was. Might be a bridge too far for today. I don't think I'm going to be that clever. So I reckon maybe we will keep 2 separate ones here. We'll pull them out of derp, which will be the cache parameter info. And we'll pull out the live parameter info from QS live. Let's just leave it how it is for now. I'm pretty happy with that. It's definitely heading in the right direction. So, where to from here? Well, firstly, we can take our query plan here. Blit2 has a second part, so this bit here only runs if your version is greater than 11, because that's when live query plans and a few other bits and pieces came in. So if you're less than 11, then you end up in this top section somewhere. And in here, there is a similar part for derp. So maybe we'll just find, is that it there? That's it there, that's where we pasted it last time. Paste that in again. All that cache parameter info, so it's got the same column name. And I think that's it. All right, the other interesting bit, and I'm not 100% sure why this is. We'll work it out when we're up here. This bit here, if sys.allColumns where object ID is dm_exec query statistics XML and name is query plan, then we can do everything. Otherwise, we get null as the live query plan and nothing as the XML. Not exactly sure why that is, but I feel like it's important. And I feel like it's probably something to do. Maybe Brent's link there has any help for us. I feel like it's probably something to do with Azure. there is nothing obvious there. So we will follow the same pattern anyway, just to be safe. So what we need is up here, we will need a query stats. What do we call this thing? Query stats parameter select icon max. That'll equal something, which we'll work out in a sec. Then we'll as what do we call that column? Just going to find it again, actually. We'll just copy it out now. Or live parameter info. So instead of this, we're going to close that string off. Plus select plus plus. What's going on there? Sure what happened there. Plus everything else after it. These should also have ends because it's the end varchar type thing. Alright, back up the top here where we are entering in the variable, we are going to say it equals and that. And we'll do the same side here. Set that. Null as live parameter info, comma. That in and see if I got it right. So let's go back to our really awful query, bad up. And let's have a look at this one. Close that window now because we're done with that one. And we are done with that one as well. Running bad up. So we got everything coming through there. That looks good. Oh, actually what we should have checked was the two parameters on the one query. Make sure that worked. Something else we just wanted to check. So what if we change this query here? It's greater than, less than I, or users.id is greater than J. Let's run that in. Kick this one off again. Let's bring that number down a lot to make it awful. And put 2. And we're getting both parameters. That's good. Cached in there. Now that it's cached as well, let's just check we do get different values here. So we swap these around. Most. Exact that. Then we can see that. Perfect. So we can see that 1 is what's cached, actual is 10. 100 is what was cached and actual is 1. I like that a lot. Okay. So, query's working. I've got it in the right spot. We've got these bits around it. Derp is always there, so we can always pull that one out. The last bit, I think, is a table that it gets inserted into. I'm never quite sure on how this is meant to happen. So I'm going to take a guess. And if Brent doesn't like how it works, then he can sort this bit out pretty quickly. So you can see in here, there's a table that gets created. So I go back to the top. So if exists, select star from information schema, where quote name, schema name, output schema name, and not exists, select star, blah, 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 create table. It creates a table with all of these different bits. Way to the end here. Then he's got this thing here, if the table doesn't have the new join key computed column added. So GitHub 2162. So I don't know if this is the format I'm meant to be following. I assume that it is. We're going to follow that there. Object full name I don't need to set again. We're going to run this one here. I'm going to add, what do we call those columns again? Cache parameter info. We should put underscores in it as well to match the other columns. I have cached parameter info. It's going to be cache as nvarchar 4000. Bigger than that, I can just truncate. I don't care. We don't need the date on the end there. We use that to get it as a calculated column, so I don't know if that's different. But we're going to do it this way anyway. So go in there, execute that. And we also need to execute the live parameter info as well. Parameter info. We need to put underscores in our column names back up here. So we go to this bit, so live underscore parameter underscore info. Live underscore parameter underscore info, and there's one more up here somewhere. There. And the spot we use this. Cached underscore parameter underscore info. Cache parameter info is here as well. Cached underscore parameter underscore info. Alright, let's see if that still compiles, which it does. Still runs, but nothing's running. Let's run this query again. Query plan, cached underscore parameter underscore info, live underscore parameter underscore info. Perfect. Alright. So that's that all sorted. So then we just need to find where this table gets used. It's the bit that I haven't worked out yet. So somewhere in here, we have the output table name. Not that bit. Create the table. Somewhere we insert into the table. It's creating a view. Go. So if it's not null and it exists, use that database, insert into, this is what I want. I think it's just insert into. Okay, so we're listing off all the columns insert into table, and all of the columns in order. So our ones are going after here. Plus cached parameter info. Why does mine look different? Oh, I don't need the plus, comma. cache parameter info. This one here I'll need. And live parameter info. Alright, give that a crack. Now to test this out, it looks like I just need to specify all of these bits. So let's do that in our sample here. So we will have that at output database name. Let's just chuck it into Stack Overflow, because that'll get refreshed from time to time. At schema name equals DBO, keep it simple, and at table name equals bullets who data. That'll do. Arrange that so you can see it on the screen there. Alright, our query needs to run again. There it goes. Run this and error. Valid column name, cache parameter info, invalid column name, and live parameter info. Well, that's disappointing. Where did that go wrong? So we created the table. So select star from stack overflow.dbo.blitz data. Okay, that worked. And it did not create my two columns at the end there. So why did it not create the columns? Look up here. Return statement in here. Sorry, in here. Let's print string to execute. Same here. There we go. Stack Overflow, if it exists, select stuff from Stack Overflow, blah, blah, blah. Read all of that stuff. Oh, there we go. Got an as keyword that I shouldn't have. Varchar. Varchar. To keep it consistent, we'll make those both nullable. Let's try that again. That looks better. And now we have a look at our blitz who data. Right at the end here, we should see our cache parameter info and live parameter info. All right. Get rid of our return statement. Come on, let's just wrap it in here anyway. Print that out. And print that out. Do it before the execute. Get rid of the return. In fact, what if we just do that once? Nah, that'll be fine. Never run that. Still completed with errors. What have I missed now? Live parameter info is not table. It is in the table. I added it to the table. Change down here where we added it in. Live param. I spelled it wrong. That'll try. Well, you should always copy and paste. All right, worked successfully. Select stuff from dbo dot stack overflow dot dbo dot blitz2 data. Nothing in there because nothing was running when we ran it, I guess. run that again, run all of that. It's there. We have data. And we have our parameter info. Woohoo! Alright. I'm feeling pretty good about that. It's working as almost expected. I was expecting that the live parameter info would pick up more than one plan, but that's not how it seems to work. So let's check that in one more time just to check that we're getting this right. We're not some data there. We've got the add statement right, so it's not adding the columns extra times. Feeling good about that. All right, so let's check it in. So to do that, we're going to jump back into GitHub desktop. Current branch, so it's got our changes in there. So we are adding our parameter at the top. We are setting our parameter if live query plans exist. We are not setting the parameter if live query plan doesn't exist. Oh, what we haven't checked is what happens if we don't get a live query plan. So I do have a store proc to help us with that. So at the top here, it's a much quicker stored proc, particularly when we pass in the number 1, but it's going to wait for an hour. So when that happens, let's just run it with the top bit to start with. That happens, we get no live query plan and we get a null here. That's fine with me. No live query plan, we should get a null. And if we drop that in, select this out at 37, that last one there, end up with null there, which is fine. Happy. And we probably should also check what happens if we run a stored proc without any parameters. So let's create or alter stored, proc dbo.noparams as begin. Select star from posts, back overflow.dbo.posts. Do look pretty. Let's exec stack overflow.dbo.params. Table, pull back out again. Last entry in there at 938, 238, sorry. Get null and null, which is also fine. All right, I still feel good about it. So we have our code setting the parameter. Not sure why they do it twice, but it's how they've got the code set up. We've got the code to add our columns to the table. We are adding the cache parameter info in, adding the cache parameter info in, and the live query parameter if we have it. And then right down the bottom here, we are inserting it into the table, which sounds great. So let's check that in. Adding parameter details from cached and live query plans. Stripping out the XML. Bring data out from the XML. See issue 25. Add that to our local. Publish that up to Greg's repository. Create a pull request to go from Greg's GitHub into Brent's GitHub. Get this wrong, I think that's right. Get Greg's change and put it into Brent's. Yep. 591. Get that pull request. And we will leave it there for Brent to sort out. All right. Well, there's that change all done. So we are all checked in. It's with Brent now to decide what he wants to do with that. The parameter info is all in there. If you want to use it, you can go and grab it now from the pull request, and you can try it out on your own machines. If you have any questions, send them through on Twitter or get in touch with me through my website, gregdodd.me. Otherwise, I will catch you again for another video sometime in the future. Thanks for joining.